Live from San Francisco, it's theCUBE, covering Red Hat Summit 2016. Brought to you by Red Hat. Now, here are your hosts, Stu Miniman and Brian Gracely.
Welcome back. As we've been talking about cloud and open source, happy to have on one of the innovation winners here from Red Hat Summit 2016, Richard Wilson, who is the head of portfolio and strategy for systems integration at Atos. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, first of all, can you give us a little bit, your background and what changes have happened with Atos recently? We were talking about, Brian and I are familiar with the Canopy Cloud, I guess is now a brand under the Atos portfolio.
Yes, so in Atos, we're a kind of systems integrator, but we've about 100,000 people throughout the world, about 10,000 people in the UK. We kind of like to think of ourselves as working with our customers to help them with the big challenges they face as we move into this ever-increasing pace of the digital era.
Yeah. So Richard, luckily in the cloud space, nothing's changing. There's no chaos in the marketplace. We're talking about governance and compliance. You guys have a little bit of news over with Brexit. Does that? I have to assume that's going to have some impact on as people think about kind of the EU versus Britain and everything. Any initial thoughts on that? Yeah.
So I guess I kind of left the UK on Sunday morning as the news was still settling in of what happened on Thursday night, Friday morning. But I imagine as the position becomes more clearer, there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done to understand what we have to do to unravel ourselves from all the legislation, the agreements, and maybe some of the trade and data sharing type agreements that we've got, and what that will actually mean in the UK. So I guess interesting times, but potentially lots of opportunities to try and work in that area.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what that outcome means, the laws change or don't change, you guys have to deal with those types of things with all of your customers. You have to worry about security and privacy and data locality. And how do you think about those types of challenges as you're building your services, and what are the services doing to kind of make that simpler for customers?
Well, the offering that we've won the Innovation Award with is Canopy Digital Connect, which is aimed primarily and initially at public sector organizations in the UK. And we see one of the challenges that they've had is, how can you join up government services to be more digital, provide a better experience for the citizen and drive down cost, when you've got a lot of expensive security governance that you've got to put in place, either with physical security or compliance with various legislation. Yeah. So we've tried to cut through all that by coming up with a platform which provides that secure exchange to simplify how government departments can work together, share this sensitive data, but still make sure as citizens all our data is treated in the manner that we would expect it to be treated.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we'll hear talk that cloud's going to be a winner-take-all game, and sometimes we get a little biased here in the States based on what's in the news. Give us a sense of a global perspective. What's going on with cloud? What are you seeing in terms of adoption rates? What are you seeing in the EU market versus individual countries? Give us the
I guess my focus is mainly the UK, but I think in the UK we are seeing quite a rapid adoption as organizations want to launch services quicker, more proficiently, and at a better price point. Want to come up with world-class customer experience to retain customers, to maybe compete against new entrants into the market. So we are seeing quite a rapid rollout of cloud-type services in the UK.
I mean, you're even seeing governments trying to roll out their own clouds. You see GovCloud in the UK, and how is that collaboration working between government agencies? Here at Red Hat Summit, it's about communities. You're trying to help them from a technology perspective. How's that changing? Just these different groups that are trying to figure out the technology as it changes so fast.
So I guess we see ourselves as kind of an integrator, and the role that we can play is to understand what really are the customer transformation challenges that our customers are going to have. Are they looking to bring in place great customer experience? Are they looking for operational efficiencies? Are they looking to do some kind of business reinvention if they're being threatened by new entrants into the market? Or is it trust and compliance? So we like to position ourselves with really understanding what's driving a customer to make these transformation changes, and then helping them down the right route with that, whether that's an Atos solution or integrating solutions from SMEs. So we kind of see ourselves at the heart of the ecosystem, kind of bringing all these solutions and technologies together, simplifying for them, and helping them make the right decisions.
All right, so Richard, can you tell us a little bit about the solution that's the award-winning solution that you've submitted for this event?
So our product is Canopy Digital Connect. With Atos in the UK, we've got a great heritage with the government in secure systems, managing systems that have got secure data for the government. We kind of saw patterns where government departments would want to exchange and share data. To do that, to comply with all the security legislation, is expensive. You've got to put in place specific infrastructure, you've got to go through accreditation of those services. So we thought that there's got to be a better way to do this. So we put in place a cloud-based secure platform, which is already accredited, runs on our Atos secure cloud platform, and enables organizations to share data. Because what we were seeing is, where there's a strong business case for two organizations to share data, they can rise to solve the challenge. But where the business case maybe isn't quite so strong, it doesn't happen. And that was kind of almost, it could be seen as a bit of a barrier to introducing new and government services, driving down cost and giving better experience to the citizen when applying for services online.
Yeah. What, under the covers a little bit, in as much depth as you want to, what are the Red Hat technologies that are making this happen and that you guys selected, to use?
So essentially it's built on Red Hat Fuse. We've got other Red Hat monitoring products in there. We've got Satellite, we've got John, and then the platform that it runs on, our secure cloud platform, runs Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So Red Hat is really at the core of our solution. We've taken those Red Hat products, we've put them into a secure environment, so they're accredited, they've got the security accreditation, and we've made them multi-tenanted. It's available on the cloud, so there's very few barriers for customers to come on board and use the platform, and very few barriers for them to stop using the platform.
So is open source a discussion that you have with your end users? Are they familiar with kind of the components you use? Are they asking and probing about the use of open source?
So aimed at government UK is very heavily focused on open source. So I think if we'd have come up with a product which wasn't based on open source technology, I think we'd have had a challenge to really push that into government. So open source kind of ticks all the right boxes with our customers.
Yeah, we're all in the political season. People are talking about making things better for, like you said, constituencies. What are some of the numbers that you're able to share, and just in terms of the improvements, the cost savings, the things that are making the system better?
So I guess we've been live now with our first few customers since about February. So some of the use cases that we've put in place were things that weren't being done before. So there were kind of other ways that governments were sharing data. So I don't have any direct cost comparisons, but what it is doing, I guess, is it's enabling more services to be put in place, which can drive down costs.
Opening new business models.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got some ideas around entitlement services where maybe a citizen would apply to a local government department for some kind of benefit or permit. It could take weeks for that to be processed because there's nothing in the background to share data. We're hoping to work with some organizations to really cut down the processing time and virtually make that kind of online type transaction operations.
Yeah. Now, is this something, I mean, Atos has a huge footprint, in Europe and around the world and so forth. Is this something that, as it gets adopted in the UK, you can see it, moving out into other parts of the world as well?
Oh, so definitely. I mean, it's built on open source standard type technology, so it could be lifted and moved onto other platforms. So we run it from our Atos secure cloud. There's no reason why you couldn't put it on into any other cloud provider with a similar level of service. We're kind of investigating options in the UK to see if we can move it into the private sector with some organizations there. But certainly there would be no reason why other organizations couldn't use it with government departments in other areas. Sometimes government departments like to control things themselves and not have data managed outside their country. So we could create instances of this wherever needed, really.
Yeah, what's the general conversation with your customers, constituents of your services as compared to some of the large public cloud providers?
Well, so our services add value on top of it. So we've kind of taken a platform as a service level and put software as a service on it. So at the moment, I don't think there are too many other options for the area that we're aiming this at in the UK. So we've kind of got a bit of an early advantage on that.
Yeah, and obviously if you're meeting government compliance standards, in a lot of cases those are more stringent than maybe in the public sector.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel like this is something that technology can then be extended, almost to any type of use case then, I would assume.
It is, yeah. So we've got security built into our product, which gives it a certain price point and a certain driver. So you've got to find those use cases in the private sector that warrant that level of security. But we think there are a number where we can do that, and we're starting to make some early investigations into that.
Yeah, lots of banks there in London.
There's banks. Other examples that my colleagues have been discussing around is kind of media, where you've got a digital product which has to be kept very secure. You don't want that to be leaked, but you have to collaborate with an ecosystem to produce it. So that might be another example where a high-value product, but it's digital, and you want to protect it.
All right, Richard, I want to give you the last word. Can you speak to the value of the partnership that you see with Red Hat?
Well, so as I said, it was key when developing this product that we developed it with open source software. That was a key driver because that's what our customer wanted. With open source software, you've still got to have that kind of enterprise level of support, service. We were doing something with this product which hadn't been done before. We were putting it into the secured environment. We were making it multi-tenanted. Therefore, we needed a partner with Red Hat that would support us on that journey. When we came up with challenges that we didn't know how we were going to solve, we could work with the Red Hat guys to help us architect it. So we had Red Hat engaged in this right from the very beginning of the development through to the end. We've even worked with the Red Hat public sector team. We've given them briefings on that in the UK, and they're kind of supporting us even now after we've developed the product with exploring other opportunities.
All right. Richard Wilson with Atos, really appreciate you joining us. We're coming up on the afternoon keynote here on day one of Red Hat Summit. After the keynote, we're actually going to be speaking with many of those speakers here back on theCUBE. So stay tuned for lots more coverage here from San Francisco. You're watching theCUBE.